Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy, Dr. Raikou, again with a newish what if. Well, it is a new what if. Well, mostly it was a suggestion what if from a comment that said, what if Issei was a Wendigo? Now, I first had to go look up what the fuck was a Wendigo before I kind of decided to do this what if. So basically, when a Wendigo is basically a demon in the Native American urban legends, it's mostly an evil spirit that eats people. If you want to get the point straight, something like that. I think I forgot about it because I just researched that shit about 4 days ago. Yeah, I forgot about. Well, I didn't forget to do the what if. I just needed a thumbnail, and then I was about to record, but I couldn't really do it for a couple of days. But yeah, but not the point. Let me continue on with this what if. Pretty much who suggested this what if. Let me go pull up the comment, but yeah. So this person was saying, I was thinking that what if Issei was a Wendigo. So yeah, this is this person. I'm not going to try to say their name because I suck at it, but yeah. Now, I also should mention I am taking another suggested what if. Mostly I changed a couple things from the suggested what if that they asked for, but pretty much I made it broken. If you want to understand, yes, I made it broken. Basically this man's a swordsman that uses 3 swords. Maybe 4. No, I'm just kidding. But mostly 3. Of course, has the power of regeneration faster than anyone. And can go into a state similar to Hollow. Never mind. But if you understand all that reference, somewhat, not really. Yeah, never mind. I would just do the what if after this, but yeah. I would try to only do this for 30 minutes, then go on for another what if, and yeah. I know I still have to go with the other what ifs and try to finish them, or the best I can, because I haven't read the manga. But let me continue on with this what if, and let me shut the fuck up. But yeah, we begin into a kind of 4-year-old Issei. Now this 4-year-old Issei has kind of been born with his family. Of course, his family doesn't really like him. His mom or dad, I don't remember their names. I think one was named Goro or whatever his goddamn name is. And the other one was Mia? Mia or something like that? Mika? Something like that. I don't remember. But of course, they really never liked Issei. Ever since he was born. They pretty much didn't even take care of him that well when he was kind of growing up before he became 4 years old. The reason why I say this is because, well, they truly wanted a girl than a boy. So, of course, they just neglected Issei, very much. Of course, ever since he was 4, he can just remember this, but yeah. Now, of course, Issei, he kind of never really got food that much. He always kind of felt really hungry, and of course, his parents never did cook for him. His mom went to kind of, go out and try to kind of mostly go to an orphanage and try to find a girl that she would like to kind of adopt, but she won't have the money because they have Issei. Now, of course, his father is going out and kind of basically cheating on Issei's mother to basically try to get a girl, or mostly a baby girl, and then just dump his kind of girlfriend with the affair and take the baby girl, blah blah blah. But yeah, pretty much they're being horrible to Issei, and of course Issei's always alone at the house. Now of course, Issei has always been really sad, and he's been so depressed. And even though he's a 4-year-old kid, he shouldn't be depressed. He shouldn't feel these emotions, sadness or anything. He shouldn't actually be feeling any of these emotions, but shit, his parents don't even like him. Of course, Issei, he always does go to the forest. Mostly there's a forest next to, well, not a forest that's in the town where they kind of live for, but yeah, mostly in Kyosho, mostly the Kyosho town. Of course, is where, well, Issei always goes to that forest. Every time when his parents doesn't come home or anything, he kind of goes there at night. Now, for some reason, it feels so calming to him when he's at night. It's just dark, creepy. Any normal kid, any 4-year-old kid would think that Issei is crazy, a psychopath. Because no way in hell they would ever go near a forest late at night. Yes. Issei's parents don't actually come half the time at the house. They basically leave him there, no food, no nothing, and just said good luck with anything. Well, basically, no good luck, but fuck you. But yeah. But of course, Issei just doesn't care no more. He pretty much just goes to the forest, looks around, doesn't care that much, but yeah. This is where, well, but of course, Issei has kind of been, like, always just neglected. Now, of course, he always went to this forest, and of course, this is where he didn't really care about anything attacking him because he's a 4-year-old and he doesn't actually understand that many things that will probably try to kill him. But of course, Issei usually sits on a rock, and of course, this is where Issei always thinks, even though he's a 4-year-old, he shouldn't be like thinking, he should be like happy, playing, and other things. He's always been thinking, and why he always live for. Why does he live? Why does he care? Why would he do any of this? Now, of course, unlike, well, having Drake along to calm him, he doesn't have him because, well, he would have to awaken Drake one way or another with intense emotions. But, of course, Issei right now is only a 4-year-old, and Drake isn't going to come out of nowhere. But, of course, well, Issei just wonders why. His parents don't really like him. Anytime that Issei remembers from the day he was born, he noticed that his parents really looked at him disgusted. Pretty much like he was a disgusting human being, creature, or demon, or whatever. This is where, well, Issei had nothing really wrong with him. He wasn't special. He didn't really have like any special care on him or anything. He was just a normal human being. But he was a boy. And his parents wanted a girl. But yeah. Of course, this is where when Issei always see his parents like seeing another child, like another like little kid who was actually a girl, they were actually happy. Now, of course, if it was a boy, they didn't really pay attention that much, but they kind of ignored it. But yeah, Issei was just saying, when he was little, he was like, I feel like they want a baby girl. Why should I care that much? Truly, this is where Issei is kind of getting kind of emotional because, well, he's realizing that pretty much his parents wanted a girl. And he's only a 4-year-old, but yet he's knowing a lot of things. Of course, this is where Issei walks around the forest until he sees this weird symbol that's kind of like on a tree. Mostly, this forest used to be kind of, well, a usual spot for a tribe long time ago. Now, of course, Issei doesn't know this, and the histories in, what's it called, the town, mostly a history book or anything, would say maybe there was a tribe here before, but not many people know if there was a tribe or not. But yeah, of course, this is where, well, Issei kind of goes up to this, well, weird looking kind of symbol. It looks to be like a what's called like a bone mask that has horns, and that's what the symbol kind of looks like a kind of like some kind of animal mask with like these horns on it. And of course, it had a little bit of fur on the symbol, but yeah, like some kind of symbol to kind of show that it had fur in it. And this is where Issei just touches it, and it glows red, and then it just dissipates. This is where Issei was confused, but of course, this is where, well, we go into a time skip. Issei is now in middle school. Now, Issei has been even more neglected. Like, he's been neglected even more. He has always have to learn how to cook for himself, buy stuff for himself, literally do everything by himself. No one teaches him. He's basically getting the Naruto treatment by his own parents. And even in any other case, mostly going to school, he does kind of get the Naruto treatment because he's different from everyone. He doesn't talk, he doesn't care. He's mostly very quiet. He's like the quiet kid. Don't worry, he won't pull out the AK. Maybe. Never. God, I'm just... Well, never mind. But of course, God, I'm just... Never mind. Of course, not Naruto. Issei, he's basically just getting the Naruto treatment. He is hated, not really hated by everyone. Mostly in school, he's ignored by everyone. And some people don't really like him, so they basically hate him. His parents hate him. Basically, they neglect him. They don't care about him. Basically, if you want to think about it, his parents are basically Hiruzen from fucking Naruto. Now, if you know what Hiruzen has done in Naruto, then you know damn well that these motherfuckers are like Hiruzen. But yeah. They don't do paperwork. They basically just ignore Issei's pain and like barely give him any money. But yeah. Now they only kind of give him money just a little bit, just so they won't get arrested by the police or anything. He does like snitch or something like that. So of course they try to act it. They fake smile when they see Issei. But yeah, of course, Issei just doesn't care no more. He really doesn't care about his parents. He doesn't care about anyone. Pretty much everyone has pissed him off from the last bit of just everything. He just feels like he's been living in hell. This is where, well, he sometimes feels like he's that one character in that one show with that blonde hair, with that demon inside him. But yeah, he sometimes just believes that he's like that person. Like he feels like he has the nine tails out here, ready to rip and shred towards everyone. He wish he had the nine tails, because if he had the nine tails, he would have definitely went KCM just to kill everyone. But yeah, that's how he feels. Yes, he read that manga before. Because this is only, what's it called, a middle school Issei. So of course, where Issei sometimes just wish that he was like some of these characters in these mangas or animes, where he's like, they're either super powerful and sometimes are loved by people and blah blah blah. Of course, he also like watched some other animes which were gruesome, and sometimes the character wasn't loved but mostly neglected, hated, and the character either became a hero or a villain or just a monster, which Issei loves the part about being a monster. Because basically the protagonist, which there's not really, let me actually cut into this. There's not really many mangas where the protagonist did become a monster. I mean, then again, what was that one anime that I really don't fucking like that much, because I watched that shit and that shit gave me traumatized. But it was called Devil Cry or something like that. It's not the Devil May Cry 5 or anything like the games. It was something called something like that. Devilman. Yeah, it was called Devilman. That shit traumatized me. I don't want to remember any of that shit again. But not the point. It was on Netflix. I was like, oh, looks cool. No, fucking never mind. But not the point. Pretty much, Issei just likes the part where either the protagonist becomes a monster, kills everyone, and just rips them apart. But yeah, he basically watches horror movies half the time. He watches Jason, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. He basically loves these characters because they basically had a tragic past before they die and came back to life just to murder the assholes who dare hurt him. He basically just loves Jason. Basically, Jason, what was his full name? Jason Bourne? Or I don't remember. But of course, he just loves this guy because he has a machete, he tanks everything, and basically chops just children's head off. Now, of course, he also does love the fact that Jason's like mother was very protective and always did kill a bunch of people, blah blah blah, just because of all this. He wish he had a mother like that. Basically, he hates his parents. Now, of course, this is where Issei has always had this hatred, deep, just weakness towards himself, which he hated a lot. He hated himself because he was weak, powerless, and everything. He wishes a lot of things, which kind of gives him greed, which he kind of, is one of the kind of 7 deadly sins, greed. He wished he had a lot of things, but pretty much he can't really have them. But yeah, if he ever gets an opportunity to ever become powerful or anything, he would take it. He wouldn't care. He wouldn't care if he had to lose humanity, his soul, his heart. He would not care. He wants to just take it. He wants to become powerful. He doesn't care about protecting anyone. He just cares about himself more than ever. He hates everyone around him. He hates anyone that dares to talk to him. And he just doesn't like anyone. But yeah. Now, of course, we go into, mostly Issei being kind of like 15. Now, of course, Issei is right now kind of in 8th grade. And of course, there were some kids of his like middle school decide to bring him to the forest late at dark, mostly trying to be friends with Issei. But pretty much they were just going to try to kick his ass. Basically jump his ass because they were bored. And they thought Issei was just a weak child. Because Issei does look scrawny, barely like any bones or muscles on his body. But yeah. Now, of course, The children had all different types of weapons. Mostly it was 3 children that was kind of baiting him to kind of go to a forest. And of course, it was mostly kind of the females. But yeah, then of course their boyfriends were mostly hiding in like the bushes, forests, and other things. Now of course, the females kind of just walk along with Issei trying to get to the spot where they needed to go. But yeah, but of course, Issei kind of noticed where they were at in the forest. It was late, dark. It was like, how should I say? It was like 1 a.m. in the morning. That's how late it was. Now, of course, Issei doesn't really go to sleep that much. He is usually awake most of the time. He felt really hungry right now. But, of course, he just didn't mind. He thought he was making friends. Friends, and, of course, mostly girls. Because he doesn't really know how to talk to girls at his age. And, of course, like any normal kind of middle schooler, no one knows. But, yeah. But, of course, Issei is just kind of shy a little bit. But, yeah. Of course, he noticed where he was at. He was at the same tree where that marking was at when it turned red when he was a child. For some reason, he remembers that. And it came to him crystal clear. But of course, he then heard footsteps and rustling and other things. This is where, the girls were kind of just smiling. And this is where they start kind of giggling and laughing. This is where Issei was confused. But this is where, Issei then gets hit in the back of the head by a rock. This huge kind of rock, but didn't knock him out. Instead, it just bleed his head. This is where blood kind of fell down. This is where Issei turns around. He sees someone get out of the bushes. Like these 3 people, older people. Mostly these guys. They look to be older than him. Mostly looks like they're already in high school or something. This is where he looks all around because there's a bunch of rustling and movement. And this is where when he sees a lot of people. This is where he sees someone from his school. The same kind of class year as him. But in a different class also come out. It's mostly one of the popular kids. And that popular kid has this gauntlet in his hand. Mostly he looks like a gauntlet. But of course, it's actually a sacred gear. Another one that Issei noticed had this kind of, mostly this sword. Now, of course, this sword was kind of a yellowish, brightish orange color. It was mostly a, longitis, but yeah. But Issei doesn't know what the fuck a sacred gear does, or even a longitis, because this is only a 15-year-old kid. Now, of course, this is where Issei was confused, and he looks to the girls, and this is where the girls were kind of just kissing their original boyfriends, but yeah. Mostly one was actually, like, 2 of them were kissing one with the sacred gear, and the other one was kissing the one with the longitis. Now, Issei was just confused. Issei was looking all around and realized that he was trapped. This is where the guy with the sword talked and say, "So you're Issei Hyoto. It's pretty interesting to finally meet you. You know, kid, it was bad enough for you to be flirting with our girls." This is where, the other one just start talking. Most of the guy with the sacred gear. Now, his sacred gear is basically, it looks like a gauntlet. Well, kind of. It's not really a dragon gauntlet or anything. But, of course, it's kind of purple. It doesn't really have a gem on the, mostly in his, backhand. But, yeah, it's just a purple kind of, gauntlet. But, yeah. But, of course, Issei is confused. This is where, he then looks all around. And, of course, this is where, Issei is right now feeling afraid, weak. He feels very weak, very scared, weakness. This is where, all of them has different types of weapons. Some of them has knives, like these pocket knives, but their knives are at least 10 inches long. Some of them are a little bit 5 inches, but yeah, that's the smallest. But of course, some of them has even katanas, wooden kind of 2x4s. Also some of them 2x4s has nails in them, very rusted nails. Some of them has bats, wooden bats, metal bats, but yeah. There was 20 people there that are ready to jump Issei. Counting the other 2 with the 2 special kind of weapons, one a longitis and the other one being sacred gear, it was actually 22, but yeah. This is where, the sacred gear says, you know, it was pretty stupid of you to, listen to some girls and trying to be your friend. You know, you sound like a stupid idiot. Mostly look like a pervert also. Huh. That's right, Issei is right now terrified. Brownie can move, can't even run because there's no exits. Issei feels scared. Just very, very scared. He doesn't want to die. He wishes he had power. This is where, someone rushes at him and swings a bat right in front of Issei's face, smashing some teeth. This is where Issei falls down to the ground and is bleeding. This is where the person will tell you, huh, can't you fight me? Well, you're a little weakling, can't even do shit. This is where, well, the older kid kind of said, the older kid looks like he's 16 or even 17. Issei can't do anything. They're all about to jump him. He can't even do a single damn thing. He then just thinks to his parents. His parents might be just happy getting rid of him. His parents are just smiling in his head right now evilly. Everyone is laughing around him. Everyone turns into shadows. Like these evil kind of shadows that are just smiling at him creepily, kind of saying, die you demon, die you weakling, die, die, die. So Issei, he says, I. This is where, well, Issei then felt like this strange power, this strange dark power rising out of his body. This is where Issei says, I. This is where Issei started feeling his stomach very hungry, very, very hungry. I am hungry. This is where, well, Issei then just started kind of getting up. But this is where his body started kind of transforming. He started becoming bigger than half of everyone around this whole place, like the 22 people. He started becoming bigger. His skin started becoming into dark fur, dark black pitch fur. This is where his horns started appearing on top of his head. This is where his face of the skin started just becoming bony. This is where, well, his eyes became a crimson red. This is where, well, mostly before all this transforming, his hand did glow with the same symbol. But of course, Issei didn't see it was a red crimson symbol. This is where, well, Issei then just became a monster. Right now, roaring. This is where everyone shit themselves in an instant. This is where, well, Issei was now a, well, Wendigo. Now, of course, this is where one kid says, is that a Wendigo? I only heard of legends. This is where he fell down out of just shock. No one can move. Their fear just went, well, what's it called, very high. Everyone was just stunned. The sacred gear user and even what's it called, the laryngitis, were just shocked. This is where, well, Issei was no longer in control, but right now, hungry. Very, very hungry. This is where Issei grabs the person that was in front of him and just chomps his leg off, starts eating it. This is where, well, he then chomps this guy's head off while this guy tried to scream. But of course, there was nothing coming out from his voice. Issei then looks at the others, swings one hand that had these sharp black claws and rips through 5 people in an instant. Blood started splattering all over this forest place. This is where, well, there was this little kind of like, mostly stone rock that was there. Mostly it was a sitting kind of place that Issei kind of did when he was a 4-year-old. Well, mostly sit there. And it had this like little kind of cross thing because he did kind of believe in God a little bit. And of course, this is where, well, he did believe in it a little bit. He also did meet someone named Irina or Ivan mostly because, well, mostly he didn't really know if this guy was a girl or a guy. But of course, mostly they moved after a while because he only met them for like a couple of months. He was happy a little bit to meeting someone who was actually a guy. And yeah, he really didn't really like girls or anything. Now, he was very angry and sad in the fact that the guy was actually a girl. And of course, he did become more depressed. But yeah, because he mostly just wanted to make guy friends. He kind of hated girls because mostly his parents wanted that. But yeah. Now, of course, his parents never knew about, well, Ivan or, well, what's it called? Not Ivan. Well, yeah, Ivan, who was actually Irina. But yeah. But of course, this is where, well, Issei was right now just slaughtering these weaklings, these humans. Now, of course, blood started splattering onto the stone, the giant stone thing, and the cross got blood all over it. This is where it turned into a reddish crimson cross. This is where, well, Issei slaughtered these humans like they were nothing. Eat them. Just started eating them, trying to fill his appetite. He was hungry. So hungry that he just slaughtered and ate them all. This is where when it came to the longitis user and also the mostly sacred gear user, they tried to fight Issei, but of course this is where Issei just basically kind of took the sword on before eating that guy and just taking the sword out of his body. Now, of course, this is where, the sacred guard user was just scared. He couldn't even believe. His two girlfriends and also his friend, slash also his girlfriend, are dead. They've been slaughtered. The sacred gear user says, "You're a monster, a demon. I should be the one to kill you then. I will be the hero that everyone needs." This is where he tries to punch at Issei with his sacred gear. That didn't do jack shit. Issei looked at this person with his crimson red eye after taking his friend's head off and chewing it in his mouth. This is where, the guy wiping his eyes, realizing he's not strong enough, realizing all the people that he known just got slaughtered by a Wendigo, an evil spirit. This is where, he felt like he got stabbed, which he did. 5 claws were in his mostly stomach area. The guy goes, "No, I can't die from you." This is where Issei right now lift him up from his kind of like stomach area thanks to his claws. This is where Issei then just let out this screeching roar. Before, I don't think Wendigos can do this, which I don't think so. But this is where Issei kind of opened his mouth. And this is where black flames appear. Now, of course, I don't think they actually can't do this, but I'm just going to give Issei this kind of ability. Now, these black flames, when they hit this person felt the hatred, the sadness, the anger. Mostly all the hatred from Issei. And Issei obliterate this person in an instant. The only thing that was left was the sacred gear. But the sacred gear was dissipating. And also, the longitis. But this is where, Issei went up to them with what's it called, his Wendigo kind of form. And Issei picked him up while just putting it in his mouth, starts eating them. This is where, he actually absorbs their powers, absorbs the sacred gears into his body. This is where we go into about like 20 hours later. Issei wakes up mostly near this kind of cave. His clothes are all ripped. He doesn't have any clothes. He's kind of butt-ass naked. But this is where, he feels very refreshing, but still kind of hungry. But still very refreshing. He was confused. He thought it was just a dream. Realized that it might have been a dream. But the problem is, it feels really realistic. He doesn't understand, but he doesn't care. This is where, Issei has become now one of the most strongest superhuman natural beings right now in the world. Who can contain him? You don't know. But of course, we go into Issei. Issei is just like, I feel hungry, but not hungry. I feel very refreshing. This is where Issei then looks at his body, and he kind of got a little bit of muscle, and his skin isn't as pale as normal. He got a little bit of muscle because he absorbed all the life energy, all the muscles and other things from the people he slaughtered, even the people who had the sacred gear and longitis. This is where, Issei was kind of confused, but he felt much stronger and much more powerful. He then kind of got this greed of power. This is where he started feeling much more happier, but this kind of greed smile kind of appeared. Grateful smile. This is where, when he kind of went back home, he kind of turned on the TV, which it's just burning half the time. Burning works, but of course, when he turns it on, he kind of looks at the news, and it says, mostly on I'm gonna say News 9. I don't know, whatever. Just some news channel appears, and of course, Issei is kind of watching while eating cereal, or mostly some of the cereal that he managed to buy with the money he barely got. This is where, we go into mostly a crime scene. And of course, I should also mention that Issei managed to get to his house somehow. But of course, also did find, wearing a kind of cross on his neck that was purely crimson red. Now, the one thing that's very important of this is when he tried to wash out the kind of crimson red stain from the cross, that didn't really happen. It permanently stayed crimson red. Now, of course, he didn't really care. Instead, I think it looked really cool on him. So of course he took it. I should also mention that Issei's hair became fully black, no longer brown. His eyes are actually still a chocolatey brown color. What kinda? It has a little bit of a tinted kind of red to it. This is where, well, Issei doesn't really care. He does smell like copper. He does kind of take a shower, mostly in the forest, but yeah. Because he knows that water really doesn't work at this house that much, but yeah. He really thinks his parents did abandon his ass, but yeah. Of course, Issei doesn't care. He puts on some clothes that he kind of did bought from a thrift store, and yeah. Or mostly somewhat stole half the time because he just doesn't care that much. But of course, when he looks at the news, it says, have you seen these children about, what's it called? Reporting missing of about 25 children has been missing. Some of them that were going to high school were missing. Some of them that were going to this middle school were also missing. This is where 3 of them were female and the other 22 were guys. Now, of course, they show the face, and Issei, for some reason, remembers them a little bit. Has a glimpse of remembering. But this is where Issei doesn't care. Issei really just doesn't give a shit. This is where, well, Issei says, I wonder what happened to them. Issei doesn't really care. That's where Issei then walks back to kind of eating food, but yeah, mostly eating water with cereal because his parents, mostly his dad, never came back home. But yeah. But of course, not the point if you know what his dad never came back with the no, just kidding. But of course, this is where, well, Issei just doesn't care. Well, not eating water with cereal, mostly milk because he bought it himself, but yeah. Now, of course, Issei does kind of have a job, I should mention. He does work out like when he's 15 because, well, he needs to make money because his parents are assholes and they left his ass. Now, of course, well, Issei doesn't care. But of course, we go into Issei finally getting out of what's it called, middle school, and now going into high school as a freshman. Of course, he's 16 now. But of course, well, Issei didn't really have friends. Well, not friends. He mostly managed to get friends. Mostly meeting up with the 2 perverted, well, not trio, mostly the 2 perverts. And of course, Issei, he kind of looked like the original canon a little bit, but well, a little bit of muscle and other things. But of course, over time, Issei kind of figured out what the hell he's exactly is. Actually, Issei kind of trained on his body and also trained on the form he has became. Mostly, Issei has also met his inner demon. Mostly, over that whole 1 year in middle school, or mostly getting out of middle school and going into what's it called, freshman, he figured out that he's not exactly normal, actually. He actually figured out that he's actually a special type of supernatural being. He's not a devil, he's not a fallen angel, he's not an angel, he's not a dragon. He knows he's not a dragon, but he's a Wendigo, a powerful spiritual negative creature. Of course, he has transformed into it and has noticed that he actually has the sacred gear powers that he managed to absorb. He can actually use them pretty easily. The sacred gear of that purple gauntlet, it was mostly, well, not a dragon kind of gauntlet. It was actually just a like mythical tiger, but not mythical, it's a legendary tiger. But it was a legendary purplish tiger that allows him to use purple flames, but yeah. And what's it called? The sword was a longitis, and he can actually use heavenly, what's it called, mostly slashing phoenix flames slash, but yeah, it was called a phoenix sword, longitis, and the other one was called the purple tiger, the purple flame tiger, but yeah. Which Issei is actually very impressed. He can also use him in his human form, but mostly in his Wendigo form, he's actually much stronger, and he can definitely cook some people while eating them, but yeah. Now, of course, he knows that when he's in Wendigo form, he is hungry. He is fucking hungry. Like anything that he eats, he is still hungry. He just has like a void in his stomach. That mostly that void that he eats anything or just whatever just disappears. But of course, not fully disappears. Mostly the strength of the original, well, user of whoever he ate kind of gains upon him. He becomes either much bigger or much muscular, or has much more knowledge or whatever. He's basically, if you want to think about it, like Kirby. If Kirby eats anything, he would just have to gain the whatever ability he gains from. So yes, Kirby can definitely solo what's it called, Goku. No, I'm just kidding, but really, I mean, yeah, and then again, he just has to eat Goku and then he becomes strongest. Or he can just eat Xenos and he just becomes the strongest, so yes. And Kirby can definitely solo half the anime now that I think about it. But not the point. Before I make my comments, just angry at me for the fact that I made those comments, but whatever. Not the point. But of course, Issei has become one of the most powerful kind of supernatural beings. Now, of course, he doesn't know if there's more Wendigos or other Wendigos, but he doesn't care. But of course, he has met another person that was in high school. Mostly it wasn't his two mostly perverted friends, because he isn't really a pervert, but he needs something to disguise himself so people wouldn't think that he's whatever creature, because he feels like there might be other creatures like fallen angels or some kind of bullshit like that. So of course he needs to kind of cover his shit up, but yeah, by being the most hated person. And if he's the most hated person, no one should know that he's this. But yeah. But of course, where he met another person, mostly this palish white kind of skinny guy, and of course had like palish white skin. But of course, this guy was always kind of lonely, and also in middle school, that Issei found out that he was actually a skinwalker. Now, a skinwalker is basically a kind of giant person that just has very pale white skin. Now, of course, Issei, when he was in the Wendigo form, met this person transformed into a skinwalker. They were about to fight because they were both kind of hungry, but notice a camp of, what's it called, just mostly a camp of a bunch of like family and kind of people that they kind of hated. Yes, mostly it was a family trip with people that they hated, and those loving parents kind of loved their children, but yeah, but they were mostly their children were kind of spoiled, but yeah. This were the Skinwalker and Issei, who is right now in this Wendigo form, kind of got hungry and decided to ignore both of the supernatural beings that they were, and went on a, well, little dinner break. But yeah, before they decided to fight each other. Pretty much Issei and that guy ate them. Now, of course, Issei does know, Bernie knows who his name is, but he basically calls this guy, not calls his, mostly his name is called, his name is Shiro, and of course Shiro calls Issei by, Wendy, but yeah, mostly, mostly, yeah, Dilgo, not Dilgo, Window, Wendy, yeah, he calls him Wendy because, yes, Issei does have an actual name, but mostly they call each other, or not Wendy, or no, what should I call Issei? Basically, Shiro isn't actually, it is his actual name, but he calls Issei, dark fur, human being, whatever. Because both of them are supernatural beings that they accidentally kind of became a supernatural being on accident, but yeah. But of course they don't care. Now, I don't know how people can actually become a skinwalker, but yeah. All you gotta know is this person, Issei, does kind of know. Now, of course, they don't hate each other, they're just also hungry. Very hungry. But of course, they don't really fight each other. They really don't care about each other. But yeah. But of course, we go into another time skip of mostly Issei becoming 17 years old. And of course, we go into Issei right now, what he's doing. Issei has finally killed his parents just because they brought, a little girl into their home and all that. And of course, they were extremely happy. And when they see Issei, who was 17, they were about to call the cops. And the girl seems to also be scared of Issei, because basically, mostly the two parents kind of kidnapped this child. Yes, they did that just to kind of have a child. Now, of course, they were scared. Mostly the girl was scared of Issei's parents and even Issei, because she thought of a bunch of horrible things. And this is where, when Issei's parents overreacted, trying to, get Issei out of here, Issei's dad pulled out a kind of, katana. Yes. Well, not a katana, mostly a large knife, and tries to stab Issei. Now, of course, the little girl was confused, but of course, Issei dodges and punches this man in the face, so hard in the face, knocking his lights out. Duh. This is where, Issei's mother tries to attack Issei, but this is where Issei kind of just, well, Multi-Master transformed his like hand into a black claw. Or yeah, black well not black claw. Mostly one of his fingers into a black claw. And he just swung his finger once and of course Issei's mother's head would just fly off. This is where well, Issei's dad tries to get back up and tries to attack Issei, saying, "Die, you devil!" This is where Issei says, "If I'm a devil, then I should show you my true form." This is where Issei transforms into a Wendigo and right now rips his father into two. Now, of course, Issei transformed back. This is where he looks at the little girl, and the little girl is confused, scared, and shocked. This is where Issei says, "You know, you should probably leave where you originally came from." This is where the little girl says that she's actually from Kyoko, or mostly the city called Kyoko. And of course, Issei cannot believe that his parents managed to just kidnap someone from Kyoko. Now, of course, Issei, who really doesn't care about children or anything, he tells the kid to just go, just leave, go away. Because Issei doesn't give a shit. But of course, this is where the little girl kind of gets scared. And of course, this is where, well, Issei says, if you don't leave in the next 30 seconds, there's a good chance you might die. With this dark, cold tone. This is where, well, the kid was, well, mostly the little girl was just scared. And of course, this is where she managed to run out the house and managed to just run very far. But yeah. Issei says, "Annoying brat." This is where Issei kind of felt a little bad. Which he then decided to go check on where she would be at. Because Issei was about to go to his room, but he knows that he has to clean up this mess. He'd do it later. He decided to check on where she went and found out that there was these guys that were trying to take advantage of a little girl. Yes, this little girl was only about the, what's it called, age of only like 10 or something. Issei was quite annoyed and pissed, and of course Issei did transform into a Wendigo just to eat these losers. This is where, well, he then looks at the girl and tells her to just get on his back. This is where, well, the girl does, and of course Issei decides to get to, well, what the call, not Tokyo, what is the other name, Kyoko? Yeah, Kyoko. This is where, well, he gets to that, well, city, and of course just leave her around the city, saying go wherever, I don't know this place. This is where, well, the little girl says thank you, but this is where Issei disappears into the shadows of darkness. This is where Issei went back to his house and says, "Annoying brat." This is where, well, Issei then goes up to his parents who are now dead and realizes he can eat them, but he realized he lost his appetite looking at these disgusting people. This is where, well, instead he just grabbed their dead bodies, goes into the forest, dumps them out, and decides to just get a lighter and burn their goddamn bodies, sending them to the 9 realms of hell. He didn't care. This is where, well, Issei then went back to his house, but yeah. We go into a time skip of Issei and his, like, friends being perverts. Really, Issei didn't do shit, but mostly just look out. And when Issei's, like, friends kind of get chased by the Kendo class, they are always confused where Issei went, but Issei just hide his presence pretty easily. This is where, well, sorry about kind of trying to clean my throat. I'm not sick, I'm just, thirsty half the time, but yeah. I just had to drink some water a while ago, but yeah. But of course, this is where, well, we go into Issei, who is right now just seeing his friends just getting chased by the Kendo class. But of course, he kind of doesn't like show himself after they kind of finally got their ass kicked. So of course, he only waits and hides, but yeah. Of course, the Kendo class has always tried to get Issei just to beat him up also because he's a part of the perverts, but yeah. The problem is that when the girls try to get Issei can actually outlast them and run away pretty easily. Now, of course, the girls kind of realize that Issei isn't that much of a pervert. Actually, most of the school kind of knows that Issei isn't really a pervert that much. Because, well, most of the guys would be kind of calling out their bust size. But Issei kind of just sits next to perverts just so he doesn't look like, well, he looks like he's a pervert, but he's not. Some girls actually figure this out, but of course, still they chase Issei just to see if he will actually be calling their bust size. But really, it's not even the case. Issei is quiet, very quiet, too damn quiet for anyone's liking. The girls actually wish that he was a pervert half the time because he is extremely quiet. Even in what's it called, special like enrollment meetings or whatever. Like mostly those like from the beginning of the school when you kind of enter, they're mostly kind of bring it to whatever of what's it called, like a orientation about what is happening. Yeah, Issei was sitting next to these girls, and of course, instead of Issei kind of doing some perverted shit, because Issei, that was the only spot that he could sit because his other two friends managed to take two seats, which Issei would rather sit with one of them and like let one of his other friends sit over there. But of course, he's sitting here, and of course, the girls are actually kind of confused with Issei just quiet. He is quieter than the crickets. He's well, not quieter than crickets. He's just quiet. He is like so silent that he's basically the night. Well, or not the night like a knight in shining armor. He's like the actual like darkness knight. Like no one expected him to be there. Which the girls were kind of okay because he's not really acting like a pervert, but he's just very dark and creepy half the time. Of course, Issei, when he was there, kind of listening to music, the song he was hearing is "Let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies." No, just kidding. But really, yes, Issei was kind of hearing a song. But yeah, this is where Issei does hear music when he doesn't care that much. He doesn't really care about girls. He doesn't really care about anything. He's pretty much really doesn't care. Now, of course, he does look for his next meal that he eats at the night, but yeah. Now, he's not talking about like a food that normal human would be eating. He'd be talking about actual food, like a human being. Like an actual delicious chicken human being. But I'm just kidding. This is where, Issei does train with a sacred gear, so I should still mention, but yeah. But of course, Issei doesn't really care about anyone else, but yeah. Now, of course, we go into Issei and his perverted friend trio, kind of, near the Grimmery state. And of course, mostly where Rhea's Grimmery will be at. Of course, this is where she's looking out the window to see the black-haired boy that's in the middle between the other two. And of course, his hair is as dark as the night. This is where, she kind of widened her eyes because normal, like, black-haired people, usually their hair wouldn't be as that dark. Mostly it'd be like an onyx color. But it's dark, like really dark. Like his skin, mostly his fur is so dark that it looks basically like the empty void, or just dark. This is where, his eyes are kind of a brownish reddish color, which she kind of noticed when Issei did glance to her, just a little bit, because Issei was quite annoyed, but yeah, because someone was keep glancing at them. This is where, Issei then questioned to his friend and what that bird is. This is where, Rias was confused. She thought that, what's it called? Issei was about a question in who she was. But really, Rias did see a bird, like a blue bird, just flying by. It was kind of big and it was just flying around, but yeah, and then it flew away. This is where his two friends say, the fuck was that? I don't know, man. Well, shit. Maybe go look up in the book in the library, wondering what the hell that was. This is where, both of his friends say, yeah, mostly his other friend, mostly with no hair, bald and all that, says, who really cares, bro? I thought you were talking about, like, some beauty out here. That's right, Issei says, never mind, sorry about that. So, what kind of beauty were we talking about? This is where, both of them just rambles on, and this is where Issei is still not really paying attention. He is right now hearing music, mostly from one ear and just listening to the other, but he just doesn't care. This is where Rias kind of narrowed her eyes. Issei did see her, but Issei didn't say anything. This is where Issei didn't look at the bird, and it was just a coincidence that the bird just came out of nowhere. Just like, whatever. This is where, Rias then gets back into her kind of like room and kind of still playing chess with Akano. And of course, she did kind of look to Akano, and this is where, Akano says, my, who you're looking at? This is where, Akano already knows who Rias was looking at, mostly Issei. This is where, Rias says, who was that kid? Issei? Issei Hiro, that's his name. This is where he's only a kind of second year. So what do you want from him? This is where she goes, ara. This is where, Rias says, I want to know. For some reason, he has a strange feeling about him. This is where, Akano says, did you fall in love with him? This is where Rias says, no. This is where, she for some reason has a really bad feeling about Issei. A really terrible feeling. Not as, like, if he has a sacred gear, because she doesn't know if he has a sacred gear. Like, in original canon, she didn't really know. She just decided to pull out information towards our fallen angel to kind of kill Issei. So, I'm going to leave it off here because I realized that I didn't do 30 minutes. Instead, I did 49. But other than that, yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here. So of course, you know what's going to happen next, but it's not going to happen like you're gonna think about it. It might happen that Issei might kill someone. When I mean kill, I mean he eats someone. Or maybe eat more people. Who knows? But other than that, I'm going to leave it off here. So yeah, have a nice day, night, whatever. Have a good night. Don't let the Wendigo come into your house and eat you, but yeah. But I'm just kidding. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here. Also on the thumbnail, Issei's eye isn't supposed to be purple, so yeah, I just used a, what's it called, mostly this original image I kind of did for, what's it called, well, I usually use, well, yeah, it's a mostly original image that I kind of used for the, what if Issei was, had the powers of the Shadow and Dragon Monarch, but yeah. Also, I'm going to try to finish that one, but yeah, I'm going to have to still read on the manga, because I don't know where I'm at in the manga. Well, we're in the anime to the manga, but yeah. But yeah, I'm not really going to start from the manga, like first chapter or whatever. But not the point, let me just end it off here. I'm rambling on. So yeah, bye. See ya.